Imagine a single plant with seeds that pack more punch than a stack of prime rib, leaves rich in vitamins for aging bones, and roots that build muscle better than an ordinary potato. Scientists once called it a supermarket growing in your backyard, yet almost no one eats it. Think of it like discovering a full grocery store behind your fence, something a 50-year-old would recognize as life-changing. Why would a crop that could change how you fuel your body be left off your table? The answers reveal more than nutrition. They expose the real cost of food independence. In 1975, the National Academy of Sciences drew the world's attention to a plant that seemed to rewrite the rules of nutrition. The winged bean seed can deliver up to 40% protein by dry weight, outmuscling soybeans, and packing more protein per serving than a stack of prime rib. For someone over 50, that can mean needing less meat to keep strength and function. Protein is the raw material your body needs to rebuild muscle, repair connective tissue, and to slow the steady loss of strength that comes with age. That matters for everyday tasks and for staying independent as the years add up. Most plant proteins fall short on the amino acids that matter for repair, but winged bean matches soy's profile and even exceeds it in lysine, the amino acid your body cannot make and still needs to keep bones and muscles strong. That makes the protein in winged bean not just dense, but actually useful, even as digestion becomes less efficient with age. The Academy called winged bean a supermarket on a stalk for good reason. The nutritional edge does not stop at protein. The seeds are loaded with calcium, more than any other common legume, and enough to rival what you would get from dairy. For adults protecting bone density without relying on milk, that directly addresses the risk of osteoporosis. Iron and phosphorus round out the mineral profile, supporting steady energy and strong blood. For many people, that can mean fewer trips to the pharmacy and fewer supplement bottles on the shelf. The leaves, often overlooked, are rich in vitamin A and vitamin C. Just 100 grams of fresh leaves can deliver 75% of your daily vitamin C and over 200% of your vitamin A needs. For immune support and eye health, that is like having a pharmacy in your backyard. Add in potassium and B vitamins, and the winged bean begins to look less like a single crop and more like a complete nutrition plan. Imagine walking outside and picking a meal that meets multiple needs. These numbers are not just impressive on paper. They translate into real-world benefits for people who want to stay active, avoid brittle bones, and keep their metabolism running as the years add up. The Academy's report was not just another scientific curiosity. It was a wake-up call. Here was a plant that could put the power of nutrition back in the hands of regular people, without the need for supplements or expensive powders. Beneath the soil, the winged bean keeps another secret. Its roots swell into tubers that break the mold of what most people expect from a potato. The average potato offers about 2% protein, mostly empty calories that spike blood sugar. The winged bean tuber delivers 10 times as much, hitting around 20% protein by dry weight. Think of it as a potato that builds muscle instead of just raising blood sugar. For anyone looking to build or maintain muscle, this is like swapping out a sack of starch for a protein shake that grows right in the ground. The tuber's nutty flavor and dense texture make it a staple in some Southeast Asian kitchens. And its real value is in what it does for the body: steady energy, reliable muscle repair, and a slower rise in blood sugar compared to ordinary root crops. This underground bonus is just one part of a bigger story. Every section of the winged bean plant serves a purpose. The leaves are loaded with vitamins and can be tossed into a salad or cooked like spinach. The flowers are edible and are often used as a garnish or brewed into herbal teas. Young pods snap like green beans and can be eaten raw or lightly steamed. Mature seeds work as a protein-rich base for soups or spreads. Even the tubers, once harvested, can be boiled, roasted, or sliced thin for chips. Nothing goes to waste. In a world where food waste is measured in millions of tons each year, a plant where every part is food is more than a curiosity. It is a blueprint for household self-reliance. For families growing winged bean in their backyard, the plant works like a living grocery store. One vine provides leafy greens, root vegetables, protein-rich seeds, and even edible flowers, all from a single patch of soil. For a 50-year-old juggling work and family, it is like skipping one weekly grocery run and getting an extra hour back. There is no need for a shopping list or a trip to the supplement aisle. By using every edible part, households can stretch their food budget, cut down on waste, and get a full spectrum of nutrients straight from the garden. The winged bean 5-in-1 design is not just efficient, it is a quiet revolution against the idea that nutrition has to come in separate packages, powders, or pills. Industrial agriculture runs on a steady diet of synthetic fertilizer. Every year, farmers around the world pay into a $200 billion market, an economic engine that works like a global ATM that charges the farmer for every breath of soil. These companies sell nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in bulk, fueling endless fields of corn, wheat, and soy. Think of it as an endless subscription for your garden, the sort a 50-year-old would call a ripoff. For the farmer, it is a cycle that never ends. Plant, pay, harvest, repeat. The promise is simple: more fertilizer, more yield, but the bill always comes due, season after season. The winged bean breaks this cycle at the source. As a legume, it partners with soil bacteria to pull nitrogen straight from the air and lock it into the ground where plants can use it. This natural process, called nitrogen fixation, means the vine can feed itself and even improve the soil for crops that follow. Imagine a backyard tomato patch that needs no bags of fertilizer, and you see what that can mean. No need for costly chemical inputs. No dependence on outside suppliers. In a system built to sell fertilizer, a plant that makes its own is a direct threat to the business model. For a family growing winged bean in their backyard, the difference is more than just savings. It is the freedom to step off the chemical treadmill. The plant's roots become a living fertilizer factory, delivering nutrients without a single bag of synthetic product. For a 50-year-old, this is like canceling the lawn service and still having a great yard. This is off-the-grid agriculture, food and soil health bundled together without a subscription fee. Meanwhile, the fertilizer industry has every reason to keep farmers tied to the pump. With $200 billion on the line, any crop that can cut demand for their product is a competitor, not a partner. The more self-sufficient the soil, the less need for annual purchases. For a grower, that can mean choosing between a new tractor payment or a simple seed packet. In this light, the winged bean's quiet efficiency is not just a curiosity, it is a challenge to an entire economic system built on dependency. The stakes are not just about nutrition. They are about who controls the flow of food and the money that moves with it. Farmers who tried to scale up winged bean quickly ran into a problem that no amount of nutrition could fix. The plant climbs, sending out long vines that tangle and sprawl, refusing to stay in neat rows. Each vine needs to be staked by hand, with wooden poles, bamboo, or wire, just to keep the crop off the ground. Think of it like turning a small backyard trellis into a field full of vines, each needing its own support. On a small family plot, this is a chore. On a commercial field, it becomes a logistical nightmare. Unlike soy or wheat, which can be sown and harvested by machines, winged bean demands human hands at almost every step. For a farmer, this feels like maintaining an orchard by hand instead of with a tractor. The pods mature at different times, so there is no single harvest window. Workers must walk the rows day after day, picking pods as they ripen. The labor adds up fast. For large-scale farms, it is like trying to run a modern bakery with every loaf made by hand. No matter how good the bread, the numbers just do not work. In the late 1970s, research institutions took note of these practical hurdles. As the push for agricultural efficiency grew, grants and breeding programs started to favor crops that fit the industrial model: short, bushy plants that could be managed by tractors and combines. Funding drifted toward patented seeds and hybrids designed for uniform growth and single-pass harvesting. It is like a city choosing to pave only straight streets and ignoring the winding country lanes that people still use. Crops that needed special care or could not be standardized slipped off the research agenda. Winged bean, with its climbing habit and scattered yield, became a casualty of this shift, not by conspiracy, but by the relentless math of mechanized farming. The focus moved to plants that could be planted, sprayed, and harvested at industrial speed. For the winged bean, this meant fewer trials, less breeding work, and eventually silence in the research halls. What started as a promise of abundance faded into the background, crowded out by crops that played by the rules of the new agricultural economy. While store shelves fill with processed options, nature's blueprint for health grows quietly, overlooked. As protein prices climb and food systems strain, the question isn't what plants can do, it's who decides what we eat. Sometimes the best solution is the one that doesn't need selling: your move.